Hello, it's recorded how both political parties have helped that forces changes and bakes in, or with the value of what they're saying, their leaders, and or that they're valuing other people doing it, like with woke. You're supposed to keep this inseparable from what nature teaches us about, you know, consciousness, about black people's rights of eyes, how it's inseparable from the treatments of slavery and James Madison's plan. But we have both what nature communicates and James Madison's plan replaced. We have the campuses of all ages and natures, including homeschool. That difference has been used remotely, criminally, foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw, by people involved with more World Trade Center predicate acts. See, there are things called predicate acts. I'm not even a lawyer. Former standing chairperson on the Racketeering Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act has recorded direct and indirect roles with proven child abusers, leaders, and kids, including with digital and sexual and medical, at the same time, overt criminal enterprises and private ones hiding the same sequence shifts, and the news with identity theft, fraud, slanders, changing and faking what's digitally recorded, and with mail crime acts and methods. And Wethersfield Police attached me to fake conversations with themselves and being at the Wethersfield Police Station when I was a kid and then as an adult. See, these companies, these digital companies want to value the information in databases that's criminally foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw, and they're dishonest about, they're not incapable of having a nature of debate, even sane. In other words, so Twitter had an upskirt picture with a principal upskirt picture. They put one to me after the guy was already caught for that. I caught him with that before that, and with retired police chiefs and their family members in intimate ties. All that's recorded. They're replacing what's recorded, and they're putting fake motivations. They're keeping whole entire careers criminally foreign influence, tactically, delusions, raw. Every year they're building upon predicate acts with facts. They're having collusion /S. Forgiveness is because we're right where we can discern the breaching method and roles with it are all kinds of collusions. And with people with the state of Connecticut corrections offices and the state of Connecticut judicial branch offices in Wethersfield. No, that town lines though. Involved interstates with Washington, D.C. and with New York City with the World Trade Center attack. And the people involved also have a number of roles with New York names involved with body dumping spots and home break-ins, and with Wethersfield Police involved with that, with state police, state police families for interstates, as the ones tied to them personally and professionally, with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and their educators are involved with predicate acts with facts methods. They're mixing the kids and the adults and their differences as adults, or as adults who work at campuses or not, involved with a use of location /S that is criminally foreign influence / hyper criminally foreign influence 3 ways. For example, as we can observe, this is relative to how slavery was entrenched in northern colonies and southern colonies before America's founders were born. See, these are also people obfuscating those things and replacing them. They are roles replacing what America's founders communicated to us. So we have criminally foreign influence, tactically, delusions, voices only allowed to be heard at countries A through Z. And then after the sale of Twitter to X and Elon Musk, they still have more roles. In other words, they communicated with me. I tried to get a response from them. And then even they brought in Elon Musk's mother. And now I saw also he has a father involved with Russia. Russians are also involved with Hartford Hospital and with Wethersfield locations and intercities fire departments and with all kinds of sexual, medical, and organized crimes with the intelligence, not just the interbranch, and with people involved with the World Trade Center attack next to hospitals. The mental health care people have all kinds of natures of organized crimes with these companies that are tactically, delusions, raw, and jumping in our conversations, changing and faking, and hiding what's actually digitally recorded. Self-valued roles with that. The F.B.I. owes more money than we need with this. In other words, there's worse than criminal incompetence, Elon Musk, please. I can show you your delusions too, and you would thank me for it because they're hurting you and the whole world. You have delusions too when you guys speak about wokeness, the counters, the Republican Democrats, and you use isms. And when you guys speak about religion and back and forth, It's exactly the way the breaching method's set up. While tactically delusions wrought, everyone that has other communicators for even James Madison and our founders behind him and his plan. We're directed to understand our founders plural as James Madison singular. That's what I read. See, they have people with readings of principles out of sequence and self-valued defenses of that as styles that can't afford to have principles like relative to black pupils, whites of eyes, principles that are true always and being generated to us, demonstrated to us by nature itself. For example, too, going into outer space, where there are self-valued rules, like where the countries are racing each other and they're fighting with each other. In other words, they're fighting with each other from bases, the suburbs were designed before America's founders were born. Criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions wrought, involved with the torture, extortion, and slavery method. And that's not even debatable. The only reason it appears to be debatable and gotten away with being debated is because they have replaced what our founders had declassified for themselves to be inseparable from appreciation of their words. But instead, we have them, they changed what our founders directed us to understand about our founders, who are distinct from the president, except for James Madison, who was then a president also. But we're supposed to explain for him and the other founders and everyone else that and how and why, even once he was a president, James Madison still didn't have free speech. So please, Elon Musk, there's a May Musk who messaged me. People are always trying to have seen this. We can't have backwards conversations or behind the scenes conversations here. You guys have F.B.I. involved with some obscure pictures and people with violence in my area and tied to them from other areas, like a Joshua Julian is involved with people named Collusions and Smith with Wethersfield Police Department that faked the conversation with me, and me being at the police station with them and speaking with them wasn't at all. As a kid, now as an adult, they pretended that through the news, while the news at the same time attached me to fake conversations with themselves, like WFSB, Connecticut's Channel 3 News, while WTNH involved with the F.B.I. They had their sources put me fake natures of ties to themselves and planted evidences with them and their kids at corners of streets and next to a school with a principal child abuser to force that at the same time. And as ones involved with educators too, and as educators and their kids. I don't even know the O'Neill family, and O'Neill family is involved with whiting forensics with their kids and with Wethersfield campuses with some sexual and medical offenders also involved with Twitter and with Facebook. The Facebook page of New Britain Superior Court also has Twitter with obscure pictures and rolls with interbranch involved with Elon Musk. Worse than criminal incompetence, you have collusion /S with people from California too, speaking about crimes. They have roles with triages, like with a Jennifer Kennepicky. Many people tied to Jennifer Kennepicky. Intermilitary, also involved with World Trade Center predicate acts. Criminal foreign influences / hypercriminal foreign influences. Again, I'm not a lawyer, and it's not formally defined. That has not been formally defined. Hypercriminal foreign influences, but nature itself defines it for us because of, for example, how and why. Nature shows us that slavery, for example, just as you don't leave slavery out from the other things that were simultaneous, like the breaching method against the predicate acts of facts methods against the Native American differences. The predicate acts of facts methods people using isms in their logic. There are some, so in other words, they have atheist themed logic in natures and they have religious themed logic in natures, and they have collusions with readings of reality and the nature of inside the nature debate. You guys have quality aspects in nature that are criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw factual nature, quality aspects in nature, and differences. Bracket like the whole shell game, like a whole array too. You guys are changing and faking what people say when we make saying things about religion. There are proofs that pantheism is about you seeing through its own ism too, to be and stay led by that which is true always, not denying the slightest sequence shift. Not, in other words, for example, there are also sequence shifts being self-valued and hold predicate acts with facts methods. Intercities, they refuse to identify themselves legitimately because they have criminally foreign influence uses, narratives and syntax in nature regarding what they think about statute of limitations. They're extorting me. They have all methods recorded. They're refusing to identify themselves legitimately. They're stealing me to fake words, interbranching the news at the same time, and the company is involved. In other words, and you guys have the nerves to get up there and pretend you could think for us. That your isms uses are normal, and then you have, in other words. So anyway, Russia and American, they have all kinds of delusions too with psychiatry, and they're relative because they're speaking about wars and things like that. They have collusions before the World Trade Center attack with people from NASA too, involved with Wethersfield Police Department, with Marines too. Involved also with the Judge Napolitano's Facebook page. And there's a Ron Adams. I don't know him, but I don't know how Joshua Julian either. Joshua Julian is one of the ones on the Facebook page of the principal child abuser that was forced with retired police chiefs and more leaders of the kids, including women, including a female mother and daughter that are both principals reportedly, and not reportedly. I had no conversations with them about anyone. I don't know. I didn't ask to confirm it with anyone. No verbal conversations with them about this yet. Their neighbors are also involved, and there's a Tom O'Connor, also with a bunch of people directly and indirectly involved with a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, involved with the various natures of sexual, medical, and other natures of abuses of little kids. These are also families involved with the elderly homes, not by accident, with sick uses of them. Sick worse than criminal incompetence, we uses of. In other words, look at New York City, and you guys speak about jobs. You guys have the audacity to pretend not to realize where and how and why. In other words, they'll good job. There's still, see the people in the buildings behind the buildings in the background of rap videos? Think about it. Look at it from the distance and rap video, and when they put the distance of New York City. No one could grow things. You think nature's identity wanted us to be like that, where everyone needs to be valuing nature systems, tactical ulterior from nature's, and the breaching methods rolls with it. In other words, please, Elon Musk, respond, or because demonstrably you're in collusion/S, making me beg to have you follow mandated law, and you're getting away with it by the roles with the agencies, with the policing of the internet, and your collusions with the differences rackets with these party narratives and natures. The difference of a Republican and a Republican. It's about who follows mandated law. The guys aren't following mandated law, and they have the difference of the parties as a shell game, pretending it means what it isn't. We have mandated law not followed since founding because the breaching method had control with the laws and the readings of them. Criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions, raw. Increasingly, the state of Connecticut corrections offices has collusions with people at the World Trade Center and at Washington, D.C., who are interstates, including with California, and with these tech places, Texas, involved with people like with the name Keene, involved also with the World Trade Center attack, including with the General Keene, involved with worse than criminal incompetence with the Keene family and their neighbors, and associated with people with the name O'Brien and Oliveri, who are also further involved with proven child abusers, leaders of the kids, first forced, and rolls with them with people on charge with that are roles with that. Part of the reason they're on charge is because those roles were forced, tricked, and hurt and persuaded. Because the investigators as such had collusions and have collusions, then they hide that too. See, with people's differences, they have a difference problem. You have a differences racketeering worse than war crimes, clearer than day, where and how nature's about black, how we have the same color eyes, different color eyes at the same time. We have eyes different from the other species' bodies, but they're non-distinct at the same time. And they're simultaneous, but per that further hyper-simultaneous that we can discern per science. Science shows us that you guys are not appreciating Earth's a special difference as NASA, as SpaceX. And while you guys are collusion/S, NASA and SpaceX too, with Twitter and with the names with the FBI and Wethersfield Police and other police departments and state police and the Marines and Air Force involved. And you know, you guys have a CIA too involved on Facebook. And Facebook has a Celeste Wells who has educators too involved with putting fake things in databases with them. And since before, this is per crime methods since before computers, with the databases identities of relativities to ourselves. So you guys have the difference of the organized crimes and criminal foreign influences of the interbranch or the intelligence as the collusions /S worst with the overt criminal enterprises and the private ones. Differentially, they're worse different ways, but increasingly they're equally collusion /S, which is worse than all that. It's collusion with all natures of crime scenes, originally and still. Think about it. The breaching method had roles with the Civil War. So did James Madison's plan. Both the breaching method's roles with it and James Madison's roles with it to counter it in the forced entrenched northern colonies and southern colonies. Our founders and James Madison communicated. They had declassified for us to understand clearer than day why and how they had no free speech. They were being tortured, extorted, in fact, human nature enslaved, therefore physically. And they had to hide their actual motivations for roles with the Constitutional Convention, the Declaration of Independence, and how that was even came about. People with even the audacity to defend that nature of unity, even that entertained slavery. You know, that's why they had to leave slavery entrenched in northern colonies and southern colonies. There were still hyper-criminal foreign influences / criminal foreign influences entrenched. Psychiatry has been criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions are out. They're switching names, forging names, putting fake ties to kids and their families with doctors into databases pretended. No one's even watching that. Then they exploit that. It's part of where and how they got away with pretending it's because there's too many people. That's all we can do with the time. There are all kinds of rackets preventing mandated law from being properly appreciated at interbranch locations as collusion /S. Also, increasingly, the differences of the guild there or at the state corrections offices of Connecticut and judicial branch offices, as some of the locations evolved interstates with Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, their campuses, their roles with the worse than war crimes and system. Earth has a special difference, and it is being forced from here. And they have self-valued roles forcing it from here. Even the real excuses for that. They have self-valued roles using those real excuses to hide that and change that, fake that. Please, Elon Musk, do what's right. You have your mother involved with this too, with the messengers. And now you have me blocked out from Twitter. Regardless, you just have to go there. No, I spent years on there asking you guys. I've been asking. The Wethersfield police can't go there and speak with them. They already pretended I spoke with them as a kid and I was an adult. And the kids who did go down there and speak with them, they put them to forced collusions with overt criminal enterprises, private ones. And they don't even know the extent of it, but they know that's true to an extent. The Old Town Cafe and other places conjunctive to the founding locations in Old Wethersfield, Connecticut, too, are increasingly from there. And conjunctive to that, all the way along Route 175 from Wethersfield, for example, to through Newington and to Central Connecticut State University in the Britain, Connecticut. Also on corners of the streets there are people filmed things for others to stack illusions in databases, which are relative where and how. Again, the delusions and the criminal foreign influence, fact, human nature, quality aspects of nature of the only people allowed to be heard is evidence / evidences. Fix the fake conversation will be that Channel 3 News pretended, WFSB. A bunch of people tied to Gil King have collusions with the people pretending to be woke in other words, wokeism, and they're pretending people are speaking for Democrats or speaking for Republican, or that difference means what it doesn't. Wild delusions wrought. And then what makes it sound like we're calling them names. In other words, get them on paper, one name in sequence. And all kinds of fake conversations too at medical locations with the people involved with the upskirt pictures with Twitter and the FBI and Facebook involved forcing Joshua Julie and others with the Facebook page of the principal child abusers campus involved with some black KKK, Latino theme, Confederate flag theme involved too with more than just female judges, but white and black female judges involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and people putting fake things in databases so others can pretend passions and emotions while they're tactically delusions wrought too. That's all they are capable of being because of the crime method /s at and next to each nature of campus recorded. Please follow mandated law, Elon Musk. May Musk, please make them do what's right. Get them on paper. Don't make me beg and then play games with the message machine. Get them on paper with the Wethersfield police and the FBI involved with Elon now too, with Twitter too, with the upskirt pictures. There's a whole bunch of people in the streets parallel involved with the agencies. They're leaking this too. They're going to tell you that we never communicated and that they were influenced to pretend passions and emotions. And that's also relative to how the fake things in databases and how they've been using that. You guys need to fear God to hide and plot. I'll rap a lot. Get them on paper, one name in sequence, please. And with this, Ron Adams also brought up Judge Napolitano's name. Judge Napolitano has his Facebook page before he left Fox News, involved with Fox News and FBI and other agencies and courts families with the names next to Fox Connected News, involved increasingly with child abusers, leaders of kids, murder spots, names next to body dumping spots, people with the state corrections offices next to it, the differences of the guilt that way, same ones with the state judicial branch offices and conjunctions to it, like Route 3, like Wethersfield Pizza House, wire crimes of the Wethersfield Pizza, with Wethersfield Police and with Central Connecticut State University Intelligence and FBI and courts at the same time. I don't even know what they said yet. But I have one sentence only in my life to a Stephen Sacco. He's involved also with people on my street and their educators involved with the educators of Stephen Sacco. Intercities are also involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and with proven child abusers, leaders of kids years apart, including sexual and medical offenders and legal families and their kids at the same time, foreign and domestic, a whole bunch of countries involved with a bunch of judges too, involved with the same house /s near me, further involved with wire crime acts and method with the police, and the ones that attached me to fake conversations with the police when I was a kid and I was an adult. And those are people that went down there as collusions, planting evidences there, other places, and their cousins are involved at the spots next to the World Trade Center and involved with the police forging and switching names on my street, people with the name Scalora, etc. Get them on tomorrow. Get them on paper, one name in sequence.